Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, we talk about the most influential players of all time because people keep talking about this on platforms, on YouTube channels, and you know, even on TV, sports TV, and it's a bunch of crap. Okay, it's a bunch of crap to me. Okay, I've been watching the NBA since the '80s, and we like to tell these lies, but let's get into this. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's look at this. Wilt and Russell put the game on the map, right? Magic and Bird saved the game and brought fans back and made it watchable, right? In the 80s. Jordan took the game global, right? Was a global icon and he took it global. LeBron James made the fans leave, okay? So let's talk about this. All these things in depth, right? Because I hear a lot of nonsense going around. We can start with Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, right? Bill Russell winning those 11 championships in the 60s. This was something major for the NBA, right? It's almost like when the Yankees won all those championships, you know. And we talk about Wilt Chamberlain, who was a freak athlete in the 60s. And people like to pick at Will. Oh, he was this tall. He was bigger than everybody else. And okay, how come these other players weren't even doing close to what Wilt Chamberlain was doing? You had 7-foot guys back then. You had rebounders back then. You had guys blocking shots, and Wilt was doing it on a higher level. So people forget how famous Wilt was for being a freak athlete, from running track and doing all these things. Wilt was crazy popular and famous back in the day. We act like this never happened. Okay? We act like it never happened, and we're going to put Curry and AI in front of Wilt and Bill Russell, right? Let's move on. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And let's don't forget about Dr. J. You know, when the game was, I wouldn't say unwatchable. It was Dr. J who held the game down, and we're forgetting how famous Dr. J really was and how athletic he was. He was the first high flyer in the NBA. Yes, dudes were athletic back then, but Dr. J was really the first high flyer, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. J dunked from the free throw line. Dr. J hung in the air, did all this stuff. People like Michael Jordan wanted to be like Dr. J, and Dr. J held the game down before Bird and Magic came into the league. So I'm not going to put Curry or AI over Dr. J. And then we talk about what Bird and Magic did. We already know what they was doing before they came into the NBA. So their potential in college coming into the NBA was big. Okay? Because we all know Kareem could not hold the game down. And he didn't make it popular. Yes, he was a great player, but I think he was really the only player that was doing it like he was doing it back in the 70s. Right? So we go to the about mid 80s, 90s, and we got Michael Jordan. We never seen nothing like that. Yes, Dr. J, he was crazy athletic. He was a high flyer, but we really never seen that from a guard. We never seen a guard take over a game the way Michael Jordan did. Offensively, defensively, took the game overseas. Michael Jordan. And we want to put AI in front of Michael Jordan. We want to put Curry in front of Michael Jordan. We think about people like LeBron James. Came into the league, the king, the next, all this stuff. What did he do when he came into the league? Didn't make the playoffs his first 2 seasons. Wasn't an all-star. Melted down his first playoff in 86. Took a 3-2 lead going back home. Melted down the next 2 games. The next year, '07, he's in the finals. How? How's that possible? Right? In the 80s, you had to have 3 to 5 Hall of Famers to be in the finals. Melted down in the finals. '08, faced his first super team, Big Three Celtics, melted down against them. We don't talk about that. That year just don't exist. Shot 35% from the field, like 20 something from three, 5 turnovers a game, and still took them to game 7. How is that possible? How is that possible when your star player is melting down like that? It exposes how weak the LeBron era was. The next season, '09 and 2010, has a #1 seed in the whole NBA over the big three Celtics. That exposes how weak the league really is, and then melts down in those 2 seasons as the MVP. And we know what happened in 2011. So what I'm trying to tell you right here is there's way more people in front of AI and Curry. First of all, AI did not bring hip hop into the NBA. We don't remember Shaq. He made a rap album way before AI came into the NBA. What AI brought into the NBA was gangster rap, the cornrows, the baggy shorts, being defiant, this type of stuff. I'm not trying to hate on AI, but he did not bring hip hop into the NBA. I'm sorry. Say what you want to. And to me, AI, he really didn't live up to his potential. Yes, he had a good few years and stuff like that, but he did not live up to his full potential to me. Okay, he was on that team that lost to a 6-man Manu Ginobili in the Olympics. We don't remember that. I mean, come on now. With LeBron, with Carmelo Anthony, with Bosh, with Starberry, all these guys, with Tim Duncan, Curry, great player. Where would he be without Klay Thompson? And people would be like, where would Jordan be without Pippen? Well, Jordan was still putting up historic numbers without Pippen before he came into the league. And I did a video that Jordan was robbed of 4 MVPs in the 80s because these guys had 3 to 5 Hall of Famers on one team, Bird and Magic. So how are you the most valuable player to your team with all this help? Yes, they put up great numbers, but let me put them on a team with just them on it, right? Let's see how valuable they are to their team. Just like Wilt, I put out the video, right? He got robbed 4 times from Bill Russell, who was shooting like 41%, 42%, 43%, and Wilt was putting up 37 points, 50 points, 35 points, and had the same blocks, the same rebounds, and a higher shooting percentage than Bill Russell, who had 3 to 4 Hall of Famers on his team and on those teams, like 3 all-star teammates. How are you the most valuable player? So again, to me, Curry, we want to leave out Klay. If you take out Klay, you just double up on Curry, and he's a good player, but he's not this great player to me because Klay was shooting 40% or more, the same as Curry. So you had to pick your poison, which one you was going to leave open, right? How was he winning back-to-back MVPs with Klay on that team? It's whatever to me. You know, we just want to sell clips. We want to sell the NBA today or whatever like that. But without Klay, there's no Curry. They don't want to get. What about when Klay was hurt? Curry wasn't doing nothing. Then Klay is healthy again. They go to the NBA Finals and they win against Boston. Okay, that's just the facts. You pretty much got the same player in Klay and Curry. Yeah, Curry was scoring more because he's the man, but his 3-point shot isn't all that if it's just him, right? And Curry did not change the game because when you watch what the Warriors were doing, it was Klay and it was Curry sitting at the 3-point line. It wasn't the Warriors sitting at the 3-point line, not 4 guys sitting at the 3-point line. It was just them 2. Now you got 4 guys today sitting at the 3-point line. That ain't how the Warriors play. They play fundamental ball. Even when they had Durant, they was passing the ball around. They was playing defense. So Curry didn't change the game because that ain't how Curry and Klay was playing back in the day. It was just them 2 at the 3-point line. And those guys play defense. I think Curry led the league in steals like 2 seasons, if not one. And Clay's always been a good defender. You had Draymond Green, a good defender. So nobody's playing like the Warriors. All that is crap. All this is an excuse so these players can get paid this amount of money and they really don't have to do their jobs. They don't have to be positional players. They can all just sit at the 3-point line. Clay and Curry was positional players. One was a guard, one was a point guard. That was their position. I mean, they won't even tell you this stuff on Fox Sports, ESPN. They're selling you a game that is a positionless league for players to get paid millions of dollars to be lazy. You don't have to. You don't have to play your position. At every position, you got to have a certain. You got to have a certain skill, right? The forward, the power forward, the center, the point guard, the guard. Everybody has to have a certain fundamental and a certain skill at that certain position. Today, they do not have a certain skill at that position. And I'm not trying to hate on Joker, but this guy just sits out there and wheels and deals with no defense on him. And I will put out that video later on if you want me to. I'm going to do it anyways. The first 7 seasons of other centers like Russell, Wilt, Hakeem, who was it? Shaq, like David Robinson, these type of guys, if you put up their championships, their finals MVPs, their MVPs, and their statistical titles, which is even bigger to me, the statistical titles. Joker has no statistical titles, right? And statistical titles mean more to me than anything. It means you was the best at points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. Joker has none. Those guys that I mentioned, they had many by the time they was in like year 7 or 8 like Joker. Even Dwight Howard. All these defensive players, block titles, rebound titles. It's a joke. These guys today, they have to do less with no defense. They can just do a LeBron James, 27, 7, and 7. Back in the 80s, 60s, 70s, 90s, the statistical titles meant how much you hustled, right? Being the best at scoring, rebounds, assists, blocks, stuff like that. These guys don't have to have any statistical titles, the good players. So to me, like I always said, the people who influenced the game the most was the Dr. J's. You guys, we got people who, like the Chris Broussards, the Rob Parkers, the Stephen A. Smiths, these guys that's on TV won't even tell you about the Dr. J's, how famous they was, how they influenced the game, how they changed the game. The Moses Malones, the Kareems, the Magics, the Birds, the Michael Jordans, the Wilts, the Russells. These guys changed the game. Even the Shaq, the Hacker Shaq, all this stuff, right? They didn't need another player just like them to be great. And I'm talking about Curry. You take Clay away from that team, Curry is not that great. He's a good player. And he was a good player coming out of college. But that 3-point stuff don't fly unless he's got Clay. All these other players I'm talking about, they didn't need another great player that was like on their level. Shaq didn't need another Shaq. Jordan didn't need another Jordan. Wilt didn't need another Wilt. Russell didn't need another Russell. Hakeem didn't need another Hakeem. Dr. J didn't need another Dr. J. Curry needs another Curry, which is a Clay. So again, when you talk about most influential, and you're talking about Curry, you better talk about Clay. I mean, it's all bullcrap. And like I said, AI was great, but I don't think he lived up to his potential. And when I say potential, I think maybe he could have been better. His career could have been better if he would have just got another great player on his team and sacrificed, like a Michael Jordan did. He taught Pippen how to be great. What did AI do? We're talking about AI changed the game because he put on some cornrows and some baggy shorts. If you watch, when Jordan first came in the league, he was wearing baggy shorts. Jordan was wearing a gold chain when he was dunking from the free throw line, right? So Jordan wasn't about hip hop. Who was wearing gold chains? People in hip hop. Slick Rick. Jordan was back there in the in the 80s when hip hop was going. Jordan was, like I said, was wearing the baggy shorts when nobody else was when he first came into the league. So don't tell me AI brought in hip hop. No, he brought in the gangster rap mentality of I don't give a you know what. And it's cool. I don't have nothing against that, but don't lie. Shaq was Shaq had a hip hop album, a rap album before AI even came in the league. People was NBA players was listening to hip hop. Yes, he changed the dress code. Ooh, big deal. What does that mean? What does that mean? Don't mean nothing. You guys are overthinking stuff too much. I'm talking about for the game to to make the game better. It was Dr. J. It was Jordan. It was Magic. It was Bird. It was Will. It was Russell. It was these type of guys that brought influence to the game for players. So you guys tell me what you think. I'm not trying to beat up on AI or Curry, but this whole thing is overblown.